Alright guys, welcome back to the vlog. So on today's episode of the vlog, I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the basics of photography, and this is actually going to be the start of a new series I'm going to do on learning photography, teaching you how to do some different things in photography, some basics of photography. And the reason I'm doing that is because I think that I learn as much from these vlogs as hopefully you do, and I want to provide value to you guys. I want to keep learning, keep practicing even the basics, because you have to have those core basics down to be able to do well at any kind of profession, whether it's photography, videography, whatever it is you do. You need to be able to do those basics to the best of your ability, because that's your foundation. The basics are your foundation. If you don't have a strong foundation, then you're not going to have a strong image overall. So you need to have that foundation down well. I don't know anything about sports ball, but Michael Jordan said this, and I think it applies to photography as well as other practices. You can practice shooting 8 hours a day, but if your technique is wrong, then all you become is very good at shooting the wrong way. Get the fundamentals down and the level of everything you do will rise. So we've got to get the fundamentals down of photography first. And fundamentals being just your basic settings on your camera. But I think the most important one, and the one I'm going to talk about today, is your composition. Now, your composition is key, because you can shoot a photo in program mode. You can shoot a photo in auto mode. You don't have to know any of the settings on the camera to be able to shoot a photo. But if you don't have good composition, then that photo just won't look good. So you need to learn composition. That's the number one most important thing, I believe, in photography to learn. Good, strong composition has a few different elements. The easiest way to learn good composition is to follow other photographers' work and see what they're doing, see how their photos look, learn where they're placing the elements, the subject in their photos. You've probably heard of something called the rule of thirds. Now that means that you're going to place like a grid on your image, and wherever those 1/3 marks line up, wherever they intersect, that's where you're going to want to put your subject. Now you have to keep in mind with that, you need to keep leading room. So like right now I'm facing this direction, so my leading room is off frame this way. If I were to face this way and put myself in this same third corner, it works, but it's kind of confusing because you don't see where I'm looking. This way you see a little bit about where I'm looking. You don't see a whole lot, but you know that direction in general. It just looks more natural that way. So you need that. You need to consider headroom when you're doing that as well. You can kind of see that my right eye is actually on that 1/3 line right there. I've got enough headroom that I don't feel like I'm cramped up in the shot. And then I've got that leading room as well. Another good way to practice this is to just move around when you're trying to photograph something. You might have heard of a photographer called Ansel Adams. He's one of the more famous photographers of the last century or so. And he said a good photograph is knowing where to stand. And what he meant by that is that you need to move around to compose a shot. And you need to understand where to stand to get that best composition. One way I recommend to do this, to learn this, is to try shooting on a prime lens. What a prime lens is a lens that doesn't zoom. It might be a 50mm, it might be a 24mm, it might be a 35mm, something like that. Another way, if you don't have a prime lens, or if you don't want to spend the money to get a prime lens, you could do it with your kit zoom lens. You could zoom it all the way out or zoom it all the way in, and then try to shoot the whole day just on that zoom. Don't zoom it out, don't zoom it in, whichever you choose. Don't change it. Just shoot all the way out or all the way in. And what that's going to do is it's going to force you to move around your subject to compose your shot. It's going to help you to kind of see in your mind's eye where this subject needs to be, and it's going to help you in the future because you're going to know that off the bat. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with zoom lenses. Zoom lenses are fine, they're great, they give us a lot of options, but I think to be able to really understand composition better, it's good to start with that prime lens and kind of limit yourself, because when you limit yourself, it actually opens up your creativity. A lot of people like to think that like, oh, we don't want to limit ourselves, it will make us less creative, but in all actuality, when you give yourself a set of rules, it helps your brain try to think creatively, because you have to work differently within those set of rules to get what you're trying to accomplish. So yeah, number one rule, composition. On the next few episodes, I'm going to talk a little bit about ISO, shutter speed, aperture, and understanding all of those basics as well, to kind of give you more of a understanding so you can control your camera a little bit better. You could maybe even shoot on manual mode by the time we're done with this. So if that's something you're into, Go ahead and subscribe to my channel. We're going to have more tutorials talking about the basics of photography coming up, and I would love it if you would like this video and share it with your friends. If you've got friends who are trying to learn photography, I would love that, and we'll see you on the next one.